Welcome back to DBSN Overtime. I'm JD Lowe.
And I'm Eli Baxter. Well, JD, what's going on this week?
This week we're going to be covering some more of the usual, covering the new NBA regular season starting, some more of the NHL regular season getting underway, MLS, and some more college football too.
Yep, big week in college football and NFL too. So let's get into NFL first. We're going to start with our top games, starting with the Texans and the Packers. It was a close one. Packers ended up winning at home after a late field goal. Put them up by 2, winning 24-22 over the Texans.
Yep. Yeah, close game, even though Texans QB C.J. Stroud threw for probably one of his worst games of the season. Ended up throwing for 86 yards. Wouldn't end up throwing for a touchdown. He wouldn't have any interceptions either, but just not a great game overall, only 86 yards.
Yeah. Former Bengals running back Joe Mixon carried the Texans there. He had 2 touchdowns on the day with 115 yards on the ground. And then Jordan Love, the Packers QB, he had a great game, throwing for 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions on the day. So.
Yep. And Packers kicker Brandon McManus, kind of the hero of the day there, putting them up ahead to get the Packers a win.
Yep, 45-yard field goal to finish out the day. And then the Lions and the Vikings. Vikings did fall. They are no longer undefeated. Fell to the Detroit Lions, who are looking great.
Yeah.
Jared Goff having another great game, throwing for 280 yards and 2 touchdowns on the day.
Yeah, it was a great game on both sides, honestly. Vikings QB Sam Darnold also threw for a really good game there, 259 yards, 1 touchdown. So both sides, pretty competitive game there. Obviously a 2-point game at the end of it, so good game.
Yep. The Vikings also won off of a field goal late in the game. By kicker Jake Bates. And then the Seahawks and the Falcons. That was a kind of a surprise there. Seahawks, after losing their past 3 games, came out and dismantled the Atlanta Falcons and Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, and QB Geno Smith for the Seahawks. Obviously, he was another hero of the day there for the Seahawks, throwing for 207 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Kirk Cousins, though, also for the Falcons, he's been on a little bit of a hot streak. Even though they'd end up falling, he threw for 232 yards. So good game for him.
Yep. And then on Monday Night Football, it was a high-scoring matchup. 72 total points scored in the game. The Baltimore Ravens did come out on top over the Buccaneers at Raymond James Stadium. It was Lamar Jackson who carried the Ravens with 5 touchdowns on the day, which is very impressive. Yeah,
the Ravens are looking really good right now. Although starting the season 0-2, they've really turned it around.
Yep, five games in a row right now. They're on a tear. And then Baker Mayfield, he also had a great game, 370 yards, 3 touchdowns, but did have 2 interceptions. He did lose his top 2 wide receivers during that, so that was a good game for them, even though they lost their.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the week, we've got the Joe Burrow beating the Browns on the road for the first time, and then the Chiefs remain undefeated after their win against the 49ers.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs looking unstoppable right now, obviously 6-0. So the coming off Super Bowl championship, and they look like they can repeat. Honestly, not a better team right now on paper probably in the NFL than the Chiefs.
Yep. And obviously the only remaining unbeaten team is the Chiefs after the Vikings lost to the Lions. And then looking at Week 8, we've got the Falcons and the Buccaneers. They have already played once this week, and the Falcons won a close one, 36-30. And the Colts and Texans won earlier in the season as well. And then the Bills and the Seahawks and the Bears and the Commanders with 2 rookie QBs, hoping to see Daniels back for the Commanders after a rib injury. So.
Yep, and there's going to be no bye weeks for any teams this week. So all the fantasy teams out there probably happy to get all of their players back in. Tyreek Hill out last week, so.
Yep. And then Tua's coming back too, so.
Yeah, that was an interesting story in Miami too. He ended up saying coming back to the NFL season without a Guardian cap too, so he's just going to be out there like he's been. Hopefully he can stay safe.
Yep. And then the past week, there's been 2 trades. The Browns have traded Amari Cooper to the Bills, and the Titans traded wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs.
Yeah, 2 big trades out of there. Amari Cooper probably the more noteworthy one there. So Browns probably losing a key piece there for a struggling season they're already having. So hopefully they can do well without him.
Yep. And Chiefs, after losing multiple of their wide receivers due to injury, getting DeAndre Hopkins, which will be a big addition, especially when their players come back too. So good trades for them, looking to go back to the Super Bowl and potentially defend it. And then as we get to college, we had a big week in college football. The number 5 ranked Georgia headed to Texas to take on the Longhorns, and they did come out on top 30-15. Texas did sub in Arch Manning in the middle of the game for struggling Quinn Ewers. And there was a high turnover game too, 7 turnovers in the entire game. Yeah,
pretty interesting decision there for putting Arch Manning in. He's obviously coming off the stint where Ewers wasn't playing. Arch Manning did pretty well, so I was interested to see that he didn't end up starting against Georgia there. Obviously bigger than just the QB, but yeah, interesting choice there.
Yep. And then number 7, Alabama headed to Knoxville, Tennessee to take on the Volunteers. The Volunteers did come on top 24-17 in another loss for the Crimson Tide. They're struggling after making the coaching change.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And then we turn to Michigan, number 24 Michigan, who would take on number 7 Illinois, and then they'd end up winning 24-21. Illinois first win over a pretty good Michigan team since 2009, so good to see there. So they turned to 6-1 on the season, and the Wolverines turned to 4-3.
Yep, and an interesting fact about that game: Illinois wore special jerseys, and they each had hand-painted helmets, and each helmet took 2 hours to hand paint. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I know that. It's cool.
Yeah, and then heading to the Big 12, the Oklahoma State Cowboys headed to play the BYU Cougars. And the Cougars came out on top 38-35 in a late thriller as the Cougars QB, Jake Retzlaff, threw a 35-yard touchdown pass to Darius Lassiter with 10 seconds remaining in the game. So exciting one there.
Yeah,
good. BYU remains undefeated after that.
BYU having a pretty historic season this year.
Yep.
So hopefully they can keep rolling.
Yep. And then staying in the Big 12, same score, 35-38. The Iowa State Cyclones beat the UCF Knights with another late winner. UCF was up 21-14 at the half.
Yeah, big game there. And we turned to number 6 Miami, who would take on Iowa State, and they'd end up falling 35-38.
Miami beat Louisville.
Oh, Louisville, sorry.
Yeah,
Louisville.
52-45.
Yeah. So they remain undefeated, 7-0, and Louisville falls to 4-3.
Yep, Cam Ward, one of the Heisman candidates, threw for 4 touchdowns, and the Hurricanes survived the Cardinals' late comeback with a win. And then we're going to move to the updated rankings. After a hectic week, Oregon moves into number 1 spot. Georgia moves back up to number 2. Texas falls 2-5. And then Alabama, one of the biggest fallers of the day, moves from 7 to 15.
Yeah, lots of big moves there.
Yep.
And with all these big games we had this past week, lots of changes in the Heisman race a little bit. Running back out of Boise State, Ashton Jeanty, he's probably the Heisman favorite right now. He's been great for a good Boise State team.
Yep. And then the Miami Hurricanes QB, Cam Ward, falling up. And then a new addition to the top 3 is Dylan Gabriel of the Oregon Ducks, the QB, looking strong for all 3 of them. Ashton Jeanty is already breaking records in the season too, breaking Barry Sanders records.
Yeah, great year for him.
Yep. And then the national championships odds, Georgia moves back into the lead, and Ohio State closely follows, who is then closely followed by the Texas Longhorns.
Yeah, surprised to see some more of the top teams there, like Oregon, not favorites for it after beating a good OSU team, but see for the rest of the season how it goes.
Yep. And then we're going to move into our picks of the week for this upcoming Week 9.
So one big game we got on the docket, Notre Dame taking on a currently undefeated Navy. Notre Dame currently sits at 12th, and Navy, although undefeated, they sit at 24th.
Yep. I'm going to go with Fighting Irish on this one. I think Navy has been a good team, good run so far, but I don't think they've faced anybody of the Irish's caliber, so I'm going to go with the Irish.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with that. Notre Dame looks good. I mean, Navy undefeated, but I mean Notre Dame's always will be in the fight, so I'll go with Notre Dame.
Yep. And then Number 20 Illinois heading to Eugene, Oregon to take on the number 1 Ducks. I got the Ducks in this one. It'll be a long travel for the Fighting Illini in this one.
Yeah, it'll be a good game either way, but I think undefeated Ducks will stay undefeated.
Yep, I agree. And then the number 21 Missouri Tigers are heading to play the Alabama Crimson Tide. Both teams kind of struggling of late, but yeah. I'm going to go with the Crimson Tide on this one.
I'm going to have to go with Mizzou. I think it'll be, I think Alabama's a little bit of the slump they're in. I think it's going to continue. I think Missouri's going to get to 7-1 on the season, and I think they'll take down Alabama.
Yep. 2 big losses for Alabama.
Yeah.
And big loss for Missouri, too, as they lost to Texas A&M just a couple weeks ago, 41-10. And then Texas and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's first time ranked in a while. Who do you have for this one?
This will be a good game, but Texas is just really too good right now. They look really hot. I'm going to have to go with the Longhorns.
I'm going to go with them, too. As you see the Vanderbilt stadium, they put up nets in front of the field. So no Texas Longhorn fans are going to be throwing water bottles on the field this week. And then number 8, LSU, and the number 14, Texas A&M Aggies. Big rivalry. Who do you have for this one?
This will be another close one. I'm going to have to go with LSU, though.
I'm going to go the opposite. I'm going with Texas A&M. I think they've looked really strong as of late. Same with LSU, but I think Texas A&M is going to come out on top.
Yep. And now we're going to transition to another edition of our Worldwide Wacky Sports.
In outhouse racing, an outhouse is kitted with wheels, brakes, and a steering system and is raced down hills with competitors sitting on a toilet seat inside. Competitors decorate their outhouses with clever names like Royal Flush, and their first outhouse to make it across the finish line wins.
And as we head into our World Series, we've got the LA Dodgers and the New York Yankees, 2 powerhouses. Lots of money spent on both rosters, but Dodgers and Yankees will we'll head to LA for the Game 1 tomorrow at Dodger Stadium. The Yankees beat the Royals 3-1 in the first round, then they beat the Guardians 4-1 in the last round, and then the Dodgers, they beat the Padres and the Mets.
Yeah, this is a classic matchup for all baseball fans. Shohei Ohtani, obviously becoming one of the greats and obviously one of the best players in the game right now, taking on Aaron Judge. This is just be a fun one for all sports fans.
Yep.
And now we turn to NHL news. So in Columbus, the Blue Jackets have had a positive start to the year. They're 3-3 so far on the season, coming off a win against a pretty good Toronto Maple Leafs team, and in dominant fashion they won 6-2 on Tuesday night. So that was good morale for the team there. Just last Tuesday as well, the same night that the Blue Jackets played, the NHL hosted a second annual Frozen Frenzy matchup night where all 32 NHL teams would head to the ice for action. So all 32 teams saw games. That was a fun one. Pretty new thing the NHL is doing. Just raising interest for the sport, get more viewership. And goalie fans were ecstatic last week as Minnesota Wild goalie Philip Gustafson became just the 16th goalie in NHL history to score a goal as he sent a 164-foot wrister down the ice to secure the Minnesota Wild's 4-1 win over the St. Louis Blues.
Yep.
So fun stuff there.
That's impressive there.
Yeah.
I don't think I could really even score from next to the net, but
yeah, rare feat.
And then the WNBA Finals have come to a conclusion as the New York Liberty beat the Minnesota Lynx with winning the series 3-2, and Jonquel Jones of the New York Liberty became the Finals MVP.
And we head to NBA news. The regular season kicked off just earlier this week on Tuesday, and big news in the NBA, obviously. LeBron James out of the LA Lakers, and his son Bronny, LeBron James Jr., became the first father-son duo to step onto the court together.
That's so funny.
To step onto the court together. So just great stuff for NBA.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
20 year difference between the two. And then we're gonna head to the MLS action. The MLS playoffs have started. It started on Tuesday, with CF Montreal losing to the Atlanta United in PKs 2-2, and then last night the Vancouver Whitecaps destroyed the Portland Timbers in Portland 5-0. Vancouver will go face LAFC in the next round, and Atlanta United will face the Supporters Shield champions, the Inter Miami.
Yeah, so busy week in the MLS.
Yep.
And now we transition to Ian with another edition of Ohio Sports Roundup.
Thanks, guys. In Ohio sports news, the Cleveland Browns take on the 5-2 Baltimore Ravens on Sunday on CBS at 1 p.m., looking for their first win since Week 2. Meanwhile, the Cincinnati Bengals look to grab another win after defeating the Browns last week as they take on the 4-2 Philadelphia Eagles, also on CBS at 1 p.m. After a bye week last week, the Ohio State Buckeyes host the 5-2 Nebraska Cornhuskers at 12 on Fox, as the Buckeyes look to bounce back after a tough loss at Oregon 2 weeks ago. Just last night, the Cleveland Cavs defeated the Toronto Raptors 136-106 in their first regular season game. On Saturday night, the Columbus Blue Jackets look to win back-to-back games as they head down to Nashville to face the Predators at 8 p.m. And finally, this coming Tuesday, the Columbus Crew play Red Bulls New York in their first MLS Cup playoff match at 6:45 at Laura.com Field. That's it for this week's Ohio Sports Roundup. Now, let's send it back to Eli and JD.
And that's all we have for you guys today with DBSN Overtime. We'll see you back next week. I'm Eli Baxter.
And I'm JD Lowe with DBSN Overtime. Thank you for watching.